All right, so actually, let's get started. We're going to take a little different approach today. We're still going to talk about doing real estate only better, but I've had some interesting things come up this week, and I want to take a little bit different approach with everybody and talk about this. Talk about a different way of thinking about what we're doing. My challenge for the call today is really three main things. First of all, I want you to think big. One of the things I got out of getting all the business plans and such from everybody in the last week is that I don't think most people think that big about their real estate business. So my challenge to you would be to think big. I know that Pat thinks big. Ed Benson, congratulations. I thought you thought big. But a lot of you guys didn't really think very big. And here's what I'd like you to consider. What would, if I was able to take and, give you a genie in a bottle and say, here, you can get your 3 wishes to build the perfect real estate business, what would that look like? So raise your hand and share it. Jeff, I've got you unmuted. What would the perfect real estate business look like for you? I know nobody thinks about this one very often, do we? We're just so busy grinding it out every day that we don't think about what we're really trying to build. And so if I said, hey, Jeff, you and Donna could have the perfect real estate business, what would it look like? I know it's a tough one. Don Young, what would it look like for you? Denise, I unmuted you.
I'd like to have a team of 5 or 6 people handling the buyer leads, maybe me generating the leads, going out on listing presentations, and managing the team more than doing all the work.
Okay.
Transactional.
What's it mean to you, Denise? What would the dream real estate business look like for you?
Oh, yeah.
I know we're never challenged to think about that, are we?
No, we aren't.
So I thought this would be interesting.
I would love to have controllable hours.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That would be lovely. Certain days, so only, I only show houses X number of days a week from certain time to certain time, and weekends only or whatever. And the rest of the week, just, generate leads and write contracts and do all that. That would be nice. I think you could balance your life that way.
Okay. So, Pat, unmute yourself. What would your dream business look like?
You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you know what, I never really stop and slow down and actually think about that, but that is a good question. I think the answer to that for me would be, have a very large team, 15 to 20 associates on my team doing both working with buyers and sellers, an operations manager full-time, somebody working and scrubbing the leads full-time as well, and then I'm just basically overseeing the operations side of it, and then also agent attraction.
Okay. So see, guys, there's no right answer. The truth is, I think I caught everybody off guard because truly I was kind of caught off guard, and I knew that I would today. But our coaching call today at 4 o'clock, I won't necessarily ask that question, but I want you to think about it over the next week, because here's the thing. I want you to start to think big, and you have to have an end in mind, right? Because the second phase of this is, well, it's great to think big, but then I got to think strategic. Well, what do I do to get there? Because it's great to say, hey, I want all this stuff, but then the next question's got to be is, how the heck do I do it? And so before I can help you do that, we've got to think about this as a business. So my challenge for all agents are to think big, figure out exactly what your dream business would look like, and then think strategic. And then the last part of this, guys, is I can promise you that the only way that you'll accomplish that is to utilize leverage. And if you can't leverage your time and your effort and your dollars, then you're never going to get there. And so I want to take and think about this differently and say, within the existing business framework that you're operating in, how you generate leads, how you get paid, all those different things, the tools that you utilize, are they the best things in your business to allow you to get the business that you really want? And so today we're going to talk about some ways that we can leverage those different things to help you put that in place. So here's what I mean by leverage. It's great to say that we can learn, but how many people actually have, not only on top of learning, but any kind of mentorship? And the whole purpose of doing those weekly coaching calls is to take and provide exactly that. How do you take and learn? And then how do you take and apply that knowledge? Then second, you've got to have a basis of leads. If you don't have leads coming in every day, you're out of business. And then third, how much money can you earn? And finally, what do you own? At the end of the day, I got my dream business. What in the world do I own? And for most realtors, there's really no place to go that they can learn. I was supposed to have somebody on here today, wanted to go to a 100% company, but was afraid there's no teaching and no mentorship there. Well, there's not. So how do you learn? How do you learn from some of the best and the brightest? Forget learning from a broker who makes 50 grand a year. And then how do you have consistent lead generation? And everybody that's on this call has access to those things. And then how much do we earn, and what are we willing to do with our earnings? And then how do we translate that into ownership? So what we're going to do today is talk about how we use that 4-point system to take and build leverage into our real estate career. Because here's the thing, guys. Forget getting wealthy. How in the heck do we get by on $38,000 a year? And I think one of the reasons that we don't make more money and that we don't think big is because we don't have a strategic plan to say, how do I get where I want to go? And so for all of you guys that submitted your coaching or your business plans to me over the last couple of days, here's what I would ask yourself when you look at it. Did I think big enough? Think big. So if you haven't read this book, I'm going to highly recommend you read it because we're going to build a platform off of this. And here's what this book basically says. There's 4 ways to earn money. You're either an employee where you have a job. Well, of the people who have an employee or that are an employee, only 5% of them are considered wealthy. Then you're self-employed, which is what most realtors are. You own a job. And that's about 95% of the population. Now, they may actually have a company, but they're in sales. Well, at the end of the day, they own a job. And business owners, where they own a system. So you could own like a deli, let's say, for example, a sandwich shop. Well, all you are is you're self-employed. You own a job. Or you can own Subway. You can be Fred DeLuca and own Subway, where you own a system. And if you own a system, 95% of the wealth is captured there. And investors are people that get paid whether they work or not. They sit on the beach and they get paid. They make money whether they're working or not. Only 5% of the population qualifies for that. And so if we take that strategy and say, hey, how do we go from being an employee to being, well, where we own a job? How do we take and turn you into a business owner? And the only way that you can do that is to take and have an idea of what you want your business to look like, right? So our goal today is to help you build a real estate business according to those principles and take you from owning a job to owning a system and eventually having your money work for you, okay? Most importantly, it'll get rid of 3 big problems for you. Now, here's the thing, guys. You cannot acquire your dream business running it like every other agent. I mean, in the scheme of things, how many agents do you know that are just kick butt wealthy? Pat, you know a couple, right?
I do.
I know a few. Who else knows a few that are wealthy? Can we agree they don't run their business the same as everybody else?
Right.
And so if you don't take a different approach to the business, guys, you're never going to take and get your dream business. So I'm going to tell you what my dream business is, that I can sit on the beach and manage my day-to-day stuff and have money coming in. That's what my dream business would look like. But I can't do that doing it like every other realtor, right? Or every other person has a business, right? So how do I know that it doesn't work that way? Well, 87% of all realtors fail. If 87% of all agents fail, then the system in which we give you to operate as a realtor is flawed. If I was a corporate exec like I used to be, and I had an 87% turnover rate, I would be fired. And yet in the real estate business, it seems to be okay. And I use this quote because I thought it was funny. I found it from Tom Ferry. He goes, hey, agents aren't leaving the industry because they made too much money. They're not even leaving because they work that hard. They're leaving because they don't make any. And so the question is, what do we help do about that, and how does that fit into our dream plan, right? So see if we can agree on this. The three most common problems: lead generation, #1 challenge for every realtor's business, right? Anybody got another one that would rank up there as #1? Lead generation is it, guys. #2, roller coaster cash flow. I got good months, I got bad months. This to me is probably the most stressful part. How many times have you done a deal and the person on the other end, the other realtor's going, oh my God, this thing is getting delayed. I got to get this closed. My mortgage payment is due, or this is due, or I got to use that money. How many guys have ever done a deal with somebody like that? And then the truth is, how many guys have done a deal and that's you? I have.
Yep.
And it's stressful, isn't it? So that's a big deal. And then #3 is, you're just building a job right now. You're so busy grinding it out that you're building a job, not a business. Here's how you know if you got a job or a business, by the way. If you're unable to work for 3 to 6 months and you don't have to worry about cash flow, you have a business. Seeing as how there aren't many people that I know of that can do that, they have a job. And so at the end of the day, how do we take and help you change that? So we're going to talk about how we use those 4 pillars to actually give you a business instead of a job, right? We have to agree, guys, that your income is 100% capped by time. You can only do so many deals per year without leveraging yourself. Leveraging in this scenario would mean I have to hire somebody. Whether it's an assistant, a buyer's agent, a listing agent, a transaction coordinator, whatever it is, your time is 100%, or your income is 100% capped by time. So Pat, I know you told me before, you could do about 25 deals a year without having an assistant, transaction coordinator, or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's what I did my first year, about 25 to 30 deals.
Yeah, and everybody's right around that same thing, right? And so at the end of the day, guys, you just have to ask yourself, how much money am I capped at making? And then what do I do about it? Because we have to start to look at your time as a return on investment. Because it's the only thing you're in control of, right? You can't control that the lender is going to get loan documents on time, or that your buyer's not going to go out and buy a new car a week before closing. You can't control any of that, can you? But you can control your time. And so the question is, what do we do that makes our time valuable? Now, there's only one way in the world to get wealthy without leveraging time. There's only one way. It's winning the lotto. It's the only way that requires any effort. For almost everybody on this call, I would recommend that our likelihood of any one of us winning is probably slim to none, right?
Yep.
So now what do we do? Well, if that's the only way to get wealthy without leveraging our time, we better start figuring out how to leverage time. So this is what the traditional real estate career looks like. We come in, we become a high volume producer, whatever that means to you. In Northern California, that's a different number than it is in San Antonio or Phoenix. I'm going to blow you California guys away here today. So here's the way it works, guys. I can do whatever number that is, 25 or 30 deals a year. That's it. So then my next dream becomes, well, I want to build a team like Don said. Pat, is having a team like the dream end all?
No, it's not.
Are you working as many hours now as you did before you had a team?
Some weeks more.
Some weeks more. And so at the end of the day, guys, it's not that there's anything wrong with building a team. You just need to understand there's a lot of limitations to it. #1, if you think that you're going to just take and go out and generate leads and hand them off to people and they're going to work them like you would work them, that would be a huge mistake. Agreed, Pat?
Absolutely.
What they'll do is keep busting your butt saying, hey, Pat, I need more leads, because what they're looking for is the one buyer who's ready to buy today. They don't want to do the rest of the legwork for the other people that'll buy a few months from now. You as the person paying the bills to generate those leads, that's an issue, right?
Right.
Then you have to train them, and you have to teach them. And then, Pat, after about a year of teaching and training and they're confident on their own, what do they tell you?
Yep, they're ready to go out on their own.
Right. And so you do it over and over again. So what you are is you're a professional trainer, you're a professional lead generator, and you have to become a professional follow-up. Now, that doesn't mean you can't make a lot of money at it. Just understand that it's not the dream that everybody thinks it is. Is that fair to say, Pat?
Yes, it is.
It's not bad. It's just not what everybody thinks it is.
Right.
So then you go out and you do something stupid like I did, and you go and open up 2 exit realty franchises, and you run up $116,000 a month in overhead before you ever close your first deal. And you train everybody just like you did as a team. You give them all the tools, all the systems that they can go out and become very successful. And about 6 months later, they go, Bob, I can't thank you enough, man, for doing everything you did for me, but I have to go to a 100% company where it's $25 a month. And initially, I was really hurt by that. But then I sat there and said, well, wait a minute. I'm telling these people to think like business people, and they are. And so if I didn't have a better widget, if you will, or reason to keep them around, they're going to go. It's how it works. But in the meantime, I'm still stuck with the $116,000 a month overhead. There's a reason they call them brokerages, by the way. If it wasn't for the mortgage company that I owned, I would have been broke from the real estate side, even with 188 agents. But those are our career options. Anybody else think of anything else? I mean, that's what we're teaching people to do in our real estate business. That's what everybody's trained to think, right? So the question is, what if there was a better way to do it? So Edison had this great saying that says, hey, if there's a way to do it better, find it. Well, is there a way to do it better? Now, can we agree that thinking outside the box is required to do it better? That there is no such thing as just doing it the same way as everybody else and I'm going to outwork people. It doesn't work that way. You have to have a better system. You have to look at it differently. You have to think differently. You have to act differently. And so let's talk about that. There's 3 ways that we build a better real estate business. Number 1, you better have 24/7, 365-day-a-week lead generation systems, period. If you don't have leads coming in every single day of the week, every day of the year, you're in trouble. So I always ask on this call, Pat, how many leads did you generate on Christmas Day?
It was around 6.
And I think Michelle got 4 on Christmas Day. That's what we mean by having 24/7, 365-day-a-week leads coming in. Number 2, you better eliminate your roller coaster income because it will crush you. It'll crush you financially. It'll crush you emotionally. It'll crush your relationships. It'll crush your credit card companies. If you can't eliminate roller coaster income, you're going to have to create multiple streams of revenue from your real estate business, and we're going to talk about those today. If you're on the webinar tomorrow, we're going to talk about those. And then you've got to utilize, guys, the right real estate and technology platforms that allow you to leverage your time and money, period. Those are the ways you can build a better business. Can we agree that technology is changing everything, right? In most ways, it's simpler than it used to be, but there are days you go, is it really that much easier? So let me give you an example how easily or how much technology has changed. Now, I'm old enough that we used to use traveler's checks, Bank of America traveler's checks. Pat, do you even know what a traveler's check is?
I've never used one, but I remember my parents using them.
I mean, guys, I get on a plane now and I don't have a penny in cash on me, but I have a debit card. That has changed banking forever. Technology is changing everything we do, how we watch TV, how we book a hotel, how we book a cab, or how we get from point A to point B. How many guys, given your choice of using Uber or a cab, would choose a cab? I wouldn't. Then my favorite graphic is at Tower Records, it became an iPod, and even the iPod is now out of date because it's now an iPhone. Because technology is changing everything we do, and it can make our life simpler. Well, how does that relate to real estate? Well, 100% of clients are going online, period. 100% of home buyers and shoppers or sellers go online. So here's the question. What's the disruptive technology in the real estate business? And well, let's define what disruptive is. Disruptive technology is one that displaces an established technology and shakes up the industry or a groundbreaking product that creates a completely new industry. Well, that happened to us in real estate. But let's just look at Amazon, guys. What did Amazon do? They came and took the retail market by storm. Amazon did 36.9% of every retail dollar in the world Thanksgiving Day to Christmas. Can we agree that's a disruptive technology?
Yep.
Walmart is trying to catch up to them. But here's the downside. Walmart will never catch up to them because they're burdened by this huge brick and mortar expense that they have. And so therefore, Amazon is already past Walmart. Yeah, currently Walmart does more volume for now. That's only a matter of another year or two. So what was displacing technology or disruptive technology in the real estate business? Well, it's this. The very first people that came along and disrupted, at the end of the day, this is what came in and disrupted the real estate business. Back in the early 2000s, Zillow and Realtor came along and said, well, we better jump on this internet thing. And at the end of the day, what they did, guys, is they created lead companies. There was no such thing as that. Any of you guys that have been in the business for, let's say, before 2000, you don't even know. There was no such thing as a lead company. There were direct mail companies that would mail your postcards, right? There were telemarketing companies that would cold call for you. But there was no such thing as lead companies. And Zillow, Truly, and Realtor.com came along and said, hey, let's take and start to dominate the internet, and then we'll take and turn ourselves into lead gathering websites and sell the leads back to the realtors who gave us the content in the first place. So they said, my God, we could take and get realtors to give us their content for free so that we could dominate Google like you're seeing on the screen. And everybody who clicks on our website and fills in information, we could then create a lead generation company and sell those leads back to realtors. Does that sound familiar, guys?
Yep.
Like it or not, guys, that's disruptive technology, right? Go ahead and Google almost anything, and you'll see Zillow, Truly, or Realtor.com, Homes.com maybe. That's it. That's all you're going to see, right? That's disruptive technology. Well, here's what I would ask you. Currently, if they can't find you online, how do you expect to get hired, let alone build any kind of wealth where you could have your dream business and sit on the beach? Hell, you got to worry about getting hired. And so what I would tell you is, instead of fearing technology, because so many realtors say to me, oh, Bob, you don't understand. I'm afraid of technology. I don't like computers. I'm not good at it. Instead of thinking like that, what you should be doing is embrace technology and don't give up. Because if you could dominate Google like this, could we agree that would change your business?
Oh, yeah.
For most of you, you know what we're talking about and how we were able to do that. Well, guess what, guys? We just embraced technology. We just went out and created technology that would allow us to take and compete. Forget compete. We kick Google's butt, right? So here's Pat's. I mean, go ahead and Google stuff for Pat. What if you were the #1 listing agent in this particular area, the top sales agent? I mean, guys, if that was you, what would happen to your business? It was done with technology. Yet we're able to take and beat Zillow, Truly, and Realtor.com. I mean, look at some of the ads on here. I mean, there's 4 ads from Google on here, so that tells you that's a really good search term, right? And Pat's on there on the first page of Google. And so what we need to understand is, instead of fearing technology, we need to make it our friend and put it to work for us. Because, well, Pat, how many videos can you make at one time?
50?
And how long does it take you now on average?
About 5 to 7 minutes.
So can we safely say that's a good way to leverage your time to dominate Google?
Oh, yeah.
Now, how do we take and utilize this in a listing presentation? That's too much stuff to get into today. But does this help you take a lot more listings?
Oh, it does, yep.
So that 5 or 10 minutes, we turn into Google domination and more listings. That's what we mean by leverage, guys. So the question is, as it relates to technology, though, timing is everything. If you don't recognize this young man on the phone or on the screen, his name is Michael Dell. You maybe have heard of the guy. Back in the early 80s, he was known as Little Mikey. Little Mikey convinced 4 other guys to work with him in his garage to build computers with the dream that he was going to take it public one day. Now, one of the 4 guys had a wife and child, and after about 6 months came to Mikey and said, Mikey, dude, I can't keep hanging for free. I got to get some money. Well, Mike wasn't in a position to pay any money, so the guy had to go take a job. The other three are all billionaires, including Michael, and the other guy worked a job at IBM for years and years. Timing is everything with technology. If you doubt me, last week Snapchat went public, didn't it? And in the very first day it went from $17 to $24, and now it's down to about 21 bucks. Timing with technology is everything, right? If I gave you the opportunity to go back 20 years, how many guys would invest in every single one of these companies? Every single one of them.
Yep.
Now, Pat, maybe you're old enough to remember Amazon.
Yep.
But back in the early 2000s, every stock picker, every analyst, everybody in the world was like, this Jeff Bezos is an idiot. He's losing billions of dollars every year, and yet venture capitalists keep pushing money into this company. And all you heard every day, day after day, was doom and gloom, how they were going to fail. And all Jeff Bezos kept saying is, have faith, we're building market share. Which is exactly what Sam Walton did. He built all these little stores in little towns across America, and before you knew it, he had all this buying power, and then he went into the big cities. He did exactly. Amazon followed Sam Walton's model. And to this day now, Amazon prints money. The problem was, 20 years ago, everybody thought you were stupid and you were wasting money if you looked at these companies, and you were crazy to get involved in it. Bill Gates is the wealthiest man in the world. So timing is everything, right? So what's the new technology that's disrupting real estate again, right? Because nobody ever sits still. So what's that now in real estate? Well, it's cloud-based real estate companies. And eXp was the very first cloud-based company. And heck, even brick and mortar companies now, like Keller Williams, is trying to come out with a Keller Williams in the cloud. The problem is it's too late. The cat's out of the bag already. Well, what is a cloud-based real estate company? Well, it doesn't contain brick and mortar. There are no brick and mortar expenses. My $116,000 a month overhead as an Exit Realty franchise, between copiers and phone systems and secretaries and everything else that I had, I don't have anymore. Can we agree I could be much more profitable if I didn't have that overhead expense? Well, what's the problem with the brick and mortars trying to catch up? Well, it's really no different than Walmart right now trying to catch up with Amazon online. It's too late. The cat's already out of the bag. You have all that brick and mortar expense. You cannot catch up. What's a brick and mortar company supposed to do? Say, hey, we're going to change the way we pay you guys now. If you're a cloud-based realtor, we'll pay you more, and if you're a brick and mortar, we'll pay you less. What would that look like? Well, that would be a mess, right?
Yep.
So now a cloud-based company came in and took over that space, created a space that wasn't there. Well, what does that look like? What does disruption look like to the real estate business? Well, first, it's cloud-based. Second, because they don't have all the overhead that a traditional real estate company has, they can provide in revolutionary lead generation systems. Number three, they can share revenue with you because they don't have brick and mortar expense. And number four, it's agent owned. It's a publicly traded company where the agents own the company. So I'm going to go through those four in great detail, okay? Because we need to understand what's going on in the market. If you're listening to this and you're saying, hey, I don't know that I want to, look at that or not, all I'm telling you, just take a look at it and make a business decision and say, does this make sense for me in helping build my dream business? So let's talk about cloud-based first. Well, what does that mean? Well, since 2013, eXp has been recognized every year by Swanepoel Trend Reports as being the new powerful new innovation where the time has come. And they know that it's only eXp leading the way on that technology, right? So give you a quick background. It was started in 2009 by a gentleman named Glenn Sanford. He was one of the top 50 Keller Williams real estate agents in the world. Glenn was a master at generating leads. He understood that in order to be successful, realtors needed leads. And he generated hundreds of thousands of them. And so he launched, when the market collapsed, he says, hey, this brick and mortar model isn't very good. It's way too expensive. What if I could do it on the cloud? By 2013, it was a publicly traded company. 2014, he launched agent ownership. And by 2016, we were actually in 46 states, ended the year with 2,700 agents. They're debt-free, cash in the bank, and minimal overhead. Well, what does that look like for our agent growth? At the end of 2017, in a mere 7 years, we had 2,700 agents. You go, well, that's not many. In comparison, Keller Williams, the absolute largest real estate company in the world, in their first 13 years, it took them 13 years to get to 1,000. I had lunch with, Gene Fredericks a couple weeks ago, responsible for about half of the agents that were recruited to Keller Williams. And he said that, hey, we basically would take any agent that could fog a mirror to get to 1,000. We were at 2,700 in 7 years, guys. We're growing 3 times faster than Keller Williams. And there's a reason for that. And I use Keller Williams because, well, they're the biggest. So the question is, Gene said, hey, we would take anybody who could fog a mirror. Currently, we have over a dozen teams that joined eXp in the last year that do in excess of $70 million a year in production. We have some of the top coaches like Bob Corcoran who have joined the company, Hank Avnick who have joined the company, have never done that before in their life. The question is why? Why would somebody go from, say, RE/MAX like Marcy Willems and write a check for $73,000 to get out of a RE/MAX franchise agreement? Why on earth would somebody do that? And so we're going to talk about that. There's every division that you can think of. There's residential, there's luxury, commercial, REO. If you do it, we do it. Last year, they were voted one of the top places to work at by the Washington Post. And as somebody who was there, I can promise you it's true. So that's who they are. What's the cloud look like? Well, the cloud is very simple. You simply log in. If Pat and I want to have a meeting, Pat and I just log into the cloud. There's a little icon on our desktop we click, and Pat and I can go do a meeting. Matter of fact, at 4 o'clock today, Pat, we have a meeting with somebody. We're going to do a walk through the cloud. What's that look like?
Right.
So I can do a meeting with anybody anywhere in the world by simply logging onto my desktop. It allows you to do business anywhere, guys. You have the internet. You can access all your paperless transactions. We don't use paper. You can attend sales training and company meetings. You can get support staff. You can get everything done online that you can do in a brick and mortar, except, this is a big one, except waste time in an office shooting the breeze with people. One of the things I hear is like, oh, but Bob, I miss having an environment where I get to go hang out with other agents. A, if you want to hang out, do it in the cloud. B, last time I checked, Pat, have you ever sold a house to another agent in the office?
Never.
We get paid, guys, to be out in front of people. Hanging out in an office, I can tell you, is the death knell. When I had my own company, if I seen people were hanging out in an office, I kicked them out. Get out there and talk to somebody who could buy or sell a house. To me, one of the biggest disincentives to a brick and mortar company is it allows you to go hang out and you get to shoot the breeze. And if you're a top producer like Pat was, then all these people get to come to you and go, hey, Pat, you got a minute? And a minute turns into an hour so they can pick your brain.
Yep, I hated it.
And as a business guy, folks, I'm going to just tell you, for Pat, if I was coaching Pat at the time, I would have told him, get the heck out of the office. There's no reason for you to teach those people what you're doing because you're not getting paid.
Right.
If you're teaching your team, that's one thing. But that's the nature of the beast, guys. So by having a cloud-based office, hey, all that other stuff is cool, but to me, it forces you to go out and talk to people, which is what we get paid to do, right? So this is what the cloud looks like when you log in. When you come in, you get to pick which office building. I got a meeting in Tower 3. This is what those meeting rooms look like. You can attend meetings, conference calls, sales training. All of it's done on the cloud. While I'm talking to you now, Michelle is on a meeting in the cloud. Well, cool. What's that really mean to you? Well, now what happens is instead of having to talk to somebody, you can just jump online in the cloud. And so what it really means to me, the biggest thing that I got out of that was you have this thing called agent support, agent services. If you have a computer problem right now, what do? Who do you go talk to? Right? You got to figure it out on your own. You bring it to Geek Squad or whatever it is. With eXp, you log on to the cloud, you go over to agent services and go, hey guys, I'm having this headache with my computer, blah, 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 blah. They say, hey, awesome. Take and click the link I just emailed you. We'll get in there and we'll fix it. How much time did you guys waste last year, guys, trying to figure stuff out like that? Well, I got this virus on my computer. I don't know what it's doing. Again, if we're thinking about leveraging our time, every minute that we spend wasting time on goofy stuff like that takes us away from making money. Now all I have to do is click a button and somebody will be there to help me with that stuff. Would that help your business? This is what it looks like. You log into the cloud, you walk up to the help desk by clicking the up arrow. You go, hey, I'm having a problem with my computer. And they click on you and send you to the right office. You walk in and they go, hey, Michelle, what's going on? That's how it works, guys. Isn't that a lot easier than getting dressed, taking a shower, running to the office, stopping and talking to people? And, well, let's be honest, how many real estate companies actually have a tech support person for you to actually work with? They don't, right? But let's assume they did. How much time did you spend driving to the office, talking to the people, when all I needed to do was get my computer fixed? Now I fixed it online, right? All of our transactions are now paperless. I just can't even tell you guys how big of a deal that is. There's no more signing contracts, meeting people, storing files, keeping paper copies, none of that nonsense. It's all done online. You do that, a transaction coordinator looks at it, says, hey, you know, Pat, you're still missing this, make sure you send it. How much time does that save you? Again, we need to leverage our time, right? What's our return on investment on time? Okay? Every Sunday, we have over 25 hours a week of live training by some of the best and brightest minds. Guys like Brad Anderson, Pat teaches classes, Darren James teaches classes, Marcy Willems teaches classes, Bob Corcoran teaches classes, Hank Avnick teaches classes. Guys, we're getting training by some of the best people in the industry live every week in the cloud. I don't have to get dressed up. I don't have to fly somewhere. All I have to do is log into the cloud. This is what it looks like if you were to log in that day and walk up. It would tell you, here's where, you know, this is where it is. If I was doing, let's say, conversion the first 30 days, I'd come up here and I'd hit go to. The auditorium would drop down and I'd click in there and I'd be in that meeting. That's as easy as it is to move around in there. At first, you're a little apprehensive. You go, huh, this is different. But once you get used to this, guys, you end up loving the cloud, right? We have tons of recorded training on Expressway where if you can't make the calls, guess what? Because you were busy, it's recorded. We also have RE Tech Campus. It was created by Brad Anderson, who created all the training for Zillow. And our agents have access to all that. Brad Anderson is a brilliant guy. He's in there teaching classes every day. So here's how I would liken this for you, folks. It's like having a real estate conference every week that you'd pay $1,000 to attend and you'd pay travel expenses to get to. Heck, I'll be honest, Paul and I do them ourselves, and you pay money to come to this, and you get on a plane and you have all that expense and all that. But guess what? At eXp, it's all free and it's in the cloud. I don't have to get dressed up. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to pay hotel expenses, flight expenses, and I've got some of the best and brightest minds in the industry on the cloud. That's a big deal. Then, if you do need a place to meet people or you do need to hang out, well, just once in a while, like for me, once in a while, I just got to get out. I like working at home, but I got to get out. Every eXp agent has access to any Regus office anywhere in the world. And there's common workspace in every one of those. You have access to all that anywhere in the world. So if I fly to San Antonio, want to meet with some people, I can just take and go to any Regus office, show the card, and I get in and I have all the brick and mortar that I need. There's no cost to do that. eXp agents get that. So that's what the training is, guys. So when we talk about leveraging and learning, wouldn't you rather learn from the best and the brightest? And wouldn't you rather be able to click a button and be able to go learn instead of sitting there and going to meetings and driving places or flying places? for leveraging our time, getting the best return on investment on our time, it only makes sense to do that on the cloud, doesn't it? So the second thing, revolutionary lead generation. What in the world does that mean? Well, there are companies that buy leads, right? They buy Zillow and Trulia leads for their company. Big deal. You're one of 50 agents buying them. So here's what happens. I equate trying to build your real estate business. So Mark Stacy, I know you're on the call right now. You're trying to build your real estate business now with the wrong tools. And when you do that, here's what I liken it to. It's like trying to build a house with Fisher-Price tools. If you're not using the best of the best tools, you're not getting the best results. And if you can't leverage those tools, you'll never build the business that you want. You'll never make the money that you want. You'll never be able to retire from the business using the wrong tools. So we have to leverage the right tools. So I'm going to go through these all individually so it doesn't matter. Number one, every eXp agent gets their own WordPress website that's integrated with conversion that I'll talk about. We have mobile apps, right? We have, eXpLS, which is listing syndication. It sounds cool in a listing presentation. This is a big one, though. Another way to dominate Google and a great place to take and get business is by referrals and by getting testimonials. Now, you can go buy Real Satisfied, and it's, I think, anywhere from $49 to $99, if I remember right. You can go buy that anywhere. eXp agents get it for free. But it's designed to take and help you gather testimonials that you can place on Yelp and Facebook and in your presentations and such, and it's all automated. So that's provided. Breakthrough Broker is another one that has great tools in it for things like business plans. And I know everybody goes, oh, it's boring with business plans. How many of you guys that did a business plan for me last week? Let me go and get you. Oh, my mouse is just being slow. Let's just pick on somebody that I know sent me one. Don Young, I'm going to come to you. You're unmuted, Don. So did you sitting down having to come up with a business plan make you look at your business differently?
A bunch.
And so,
a lot of truth if it's in writing.
It's not sexy, though, is it?
No.
But it's necessary. So Breakthrough Broker gives you access to those kind of tools, although when you're working in our group, I actually do the coaching, but nonetheless. So you have access to Breakthrough Broker. You get discounts on all your signs and everything, anything that you need, signs, postcards, anything that you use like that. You get the lowest price guarantee. The best news, you don't have to run anywhere to order it. You just do it online, right? But the real question is, guys, what's the single most valuable asset in your real estate business? So let me try and go to somebody who's new, has not heard this before. Mark Stacy, it looks like Mark, you got a microphone? Oh, you do. What's the most valuable asset in a real estate business, Mark? Do you know?
Yourself.
I'm sorry?
Yourself.
Yourself is probably number one. So what would number two be?
Your tools.
Partly, it's your database. There's nothing else close. It's where you can drive revenue from. The real reason I say it's the most valuable asset, Mark, if something happened to you, you just whatever, you couldn't work, you got really sick or whatever, and you needed to accumulate cash, could you sell a database?
Sure.
So at the end of the day, I hate to say it, the database is actually more valuable than we are. The value could provide revenue long past us. So here's the question, Mark. You've been in the business for, what did you tell me, 3 years?
Yes.
How much time has anybody that you worked at, you don't have to tell me what company or any companies you work for, don't really care. How much time has the broker, the trainer, or the company invested in teaching you how to build a database, how to set it up, give you the follow-up systems, and give you tools to create it? How much time have they spent with you?
None.
None. And I've never asked you that before, right? So at the end of the day, here's the question. If it's the most valuable asset that any realtor can have, why in the world isn't every broker, every trainer teaching you how to build a database and do it properly?
Obviously, they should.
Should, right? Well, gosh, think of it this way too, Mark. If you build a database right, it's one of your greatest sources of business, and if they're getting a split, then, gosh, the broker wins too, right?
Sure.
So why aren't they doing something that helps them grow their business? This is why I talk about you need to pay attention to who's training you. If some broker makes 50, 60, 70,000 bucks a year is training you, guess what they can teach you to make, Mark?
Database.
50, 60, 70 grand. Now, if you're happy with that, that's okay. We need to focus on a database. So we give you tools inside of eXp Realty between some of the website and things like that we talk about in Homekeeper. But more importantly, Mark, what if I actually taught you a business-to-business strategy that you could go out and start generating referrals from local business owners? And oh, by the way, if I taught you how to do that, you could take and get their database too, and you could even take and monetize that where you had money coming in every month that could pay your marketing expenses. Would that be something like an agent might want to learn?
Of course.
But in the 3 years you've been a realtor, nobody's taught you that, right?
If they did, they didn't spend much time with it.
Yeah, because you're not doing it, right? If they taught you that, you do it, right?
Right.
So you got to leverage your tools. Who's teaching you? So I challenge everybody to think big and start to think strategic. If they're not teaching you that and you don't have that available, Mark, how are you going to take your business to the next level?
It'd be more difficult.
Yeah, it's not that you can't do it. It'd just be more difficult. So strategically, is that a good idea then? Or should you make it easier?
Easier the better, of course.
Yeah. Because if that's our most valuable asset, why in the world aren't we teaching you guys how to do it? So at eXp and in my group, we teach you how to do this stuff, okay? You get revolutionary lead generation systems like Commissions Inc. or Conversion. So when we talk about leverage, conversion costs $1,000 to set up and $585 a month. Mark, if you could leverage conversion and only pay $50 a month, would that be better?
Yes.
That's what leverage is, guys. So what Conversion, Commissions Inc., there's really 4 tools that every realtor needs to have, one of 4. Either Commissions Inc., Conversion, Real Geeks, or Boomtown. If you don't have those tools, you're really not in the business. All these goofy company websites that you get and, oh, about Mark. It's like that doesn't mean diddly, guys. You have to have tools that actually are powerful, that do things. I'm going to mute you, Mark, so thanks for participating. So when we talk about leverage, we need to leverage our money too, right? Well, why pay $585 a month when I could pay $50, right? But what do these websites really do for us? Well, they're websites, they're IDX, they're CRMs, and you can even do your pay-per-click out of it. Well, gosh, there's lots of IDXs. Well, the IDXs have to be set up properly, number one, to capture leads. Jeff Gardner, let me find you. Jeff, when you came, you unmuted yourself, Jeff. When you came to our marketing event back in August and we tried to set up all your marketing with your old Coldwell Banker website, were we able to do anything for you that you can now do utilizing Conversion?
We couldn't do anything. It was I felt like I was on an island.
In 5.5 years, you had a database of about 600 and some people, right, at Caldwell?
Yes, that is correct.
How big is your database now since December, since we taught you how to do this stuff?
About 427, I think it is, as of today.
So what took him 5.5 years to build, we got what, 80% of the way, 75% of the way there in 4 months. Utilizing the right tools. Because when Jeff came to Phoenix, we were trying to take and set up lead capture for him, and his websites that they said, oh my gosh, we have the best technology in the world. We're owned by a technology company, and you guys have access to the best. Well, it didn't do anything, guys. That's why I said there are 4 systems that are the best. Conversion, Commissions Inc., Real Geeks, Boomtown, period. Now, you can pay $1,000 a month for the rest of those, or you pay $50. Your call. It gives you an absolute CRM. So, for example, we were at the Cubs game on Friday, and Michelle, I think, got 3 leads while we were at the Cubs game. Well, the people that actually filled out the information got an email from her and a text message from her within 5 minutes. A couple of them responded to the text messages, and we had an automated text message go back to them. While we were at the Cub game, they think we're communicating with them, and it was all done automatically. Can your existing systems do that for you? Mark, I'm going to come back to you. For your existing systems, Mark, can your systems do that for you?
Well, I was using Boomtown.
Okay, so that can. But how much were you paying for it?
It was given to me from the company.
It was. How much do you pay in a monthly fee, though?
I wasn't paying a monthly fee.
You didn't pay any monthly fee? You were just at a 56,000 cap, right?
At Carrington, it was 80/20.
Okay, so you're at a different company now.
Right. There was no cap then.
So if you move to the company you're thinking about, how much will you pay for Boomtown now?
What? I went to Keller Williams. Keller Williams they don't have Boomtown.
I know, they have Playster. Can you do all this stuff with Playster?
I haven't.
Nobody does, because it doesn't do it. See, having the right tools, guys, makes all the difference in the world. They have to be 21st century tools. A website is not good enough anymore. An About Me page isn't good enough anymore, okay? What else does it do? Well, it's mobile optimized, and if you don't know, 64% of all real estate searches are done on a mobile phone. But most importantly, guys, what it really does is it manages workflow for you. Yes, you can capture leads. It's very good at it. Yes, the follow-up system is very good, but guess what? Every day when you log in, it'll tell you who you need to call, who you need to follow up on. It'll tell you if somebody saved a listing, if somebody looked at a listing more than 5 times. You can see who's on your website at any given moment and see what homes they're looking at. It's called stealth technology. As a consumer, it's scary. As a marketing person, it's killer. And Conversion will manage that whole process for you. It'll tell you who to call, when to call, if they're active. Like Michelle will get a lead, somebody saves a listing, Michelle gets an email and say, hey, Susie Jones saved this listing. If they saved a listing, don't you think they're interested in it? Is it easier to make the follow-up call now and say, hey, Susie, I'm going to be out in the West Valley over the weekend. You know, there's a house at 123 Main Street. I think you'd love to see it, right? It makes lead conversion better. Here's another cool thing. It goes out and scours the internet, and it pulls in information about these folks. So do you think Sarah is a horse person? Do you think it might give you something to talk about, to build a rapport and establish a relationship, maybe talking about horses? Hey, Sarah, what do you like to do in your spare time? Oh, I love horses. Oh, that's awesome. What kind of thing, right? It allows you the ability to do it. We have another client. She took a picture, was holding 2 dogs. Michelle says, are you a dog person? Oh, yeah, you know, I love my little foo-foo and whatever. And they were able to build this great rapport. Not only is she buying a house, but so is her son. Having that kind of information is how you build a business the right way. Isn't that better than just having, well, I got a website? The downside is these systems are expensive. So unless you can leverage it and pay less money, you need to have these tools, right? Now, obviously, Paul and I teach Facebook. We're actually doing a Facebook call tomorrow. We did live events, and now we're going to release just a classroom version where nobody has to travel for, right? I mean, what if you had things like this set up every day? This is what Jeff is doing, and Don is doing, and Pat is doing. We have lead funnels set up that's one of the ads that goes to her conversion page and then gets followed up on in the system. What if you had 3 or 4 of those things running every single day of the week? By the way, it costs us $15 a day. We spend $5 a day on 3 ads, and that'll generate about 4 to 6 leads a day. What if you were doing that every day, guys? Would that be a better business model than maybe what you have now? I mean, here's just one day of leads out of Michelle's Gmail. This is another day out of Michelle's. Guys, what would your business be like if you did that? Can we agree to be different, right? I mean, what if you had the tools to accomplish this? I mean, Mark, what if you could dominate Google in your market? You're in a high-end market. What if you could dominate Google like that? And then utilize that like Pat does to leverage that in listing presentations. Well, what would happen, right? I mean, how would you compete with my wife or Pat or any of the others on here that utilize this technology in a listing presentation? Here's one. She was a brand new agent. She was an agent for 3 weeks with eXp, took and utilized that technology, did it with a listing appointment yesterday, basically said she screwed it up, but she got the listing and the purchase on it. See, that's leveraging tools, guys, to give you success. See, it's not how many listing appointments you go on, it's how many you turn into listings that turn into closings. We think the wrong way in the real estate business, don't we? Right? What if we taught you how to take those videos and we monetized it like that? This is a bit of overkill. I'll give you full disclosure. But what if we taught you how to monetize that? And Mark, I'm just picking on you because I know you got a microphone. What if, Mark, you can do that, and let's say each one of those vendors paid you $250 a month, you only did 3 of them, and they referred 2 deals a year to you. Would that have an impact on your business?
Sure.
And then the $750 that you got from them, you could spend on Facebook ads. Or you could pay for it out of your own pocket. It'd be up to you. Which way is the best leverage? Using somebody else's money to generate leads?
Of
And
course.
using somebody else to get referrals?
Sure.
See, you can't build those relationships sitting in a real estate office. You got to be out belly to belly with people. What if we could teach you how to do that?
That'd be
Here's
great.
Here's what I can tell you. I can teach you how to do it. So we got to understand that. That's leverage, right? What if I showed you how to get hundreds of people to an open house? Pat did one a couple weeks ago with a day-and-a-half notice, got 8 buyer leads out of it. What would 8 buyer leads out of an open house do? And that's one that he's like, I kind of screwed it up, didn't get it set up the right way, didn't do the right things. And my answer was, hey, Pat, wouldn't it be cool if you could screw up an open house like that every week?
Yep. And I just heard from my lender this morning, and she just pre-qualified another one of those buyers.
Perfect. What if we taught you how to do it the right way, right? What if I could teach you how to master lead conversion? Because, well, let's be honest, guys, at the end of the day, you can generate all the leads that you want. But if you can't convert them, who cares? So what if we tried something like this? I mean, what if you could do this for your buyers? So when they said, I've talked to another couple agents, you say, well, you know what, Pat, I'm not sure if this is right for you, but let me take a second and tell you what my goal is with everybody that I work with and see if it works for you. My goal is to help you get 100% of your debt, including this new house that you're buying, completely paid off in 12 to 17 years. I want you to save at least $53,272 in payments and interest. And I'd like you to get all the interest that you paid back to the bank and put it back in your pocket by the end of 30 years. So you can work with any other realtor, Pat, and I'll help you buy the house, and let's assume you get it paid off in 30 years. But would you rather have the house paid off in 30 years and all the interest and principal back in your bank account, or would you rather the bank keep it? Nobody's going to say, no, I want the bank to keep it, right? Now,
Right.
I'm going to do that with the same payment that every other realtor would have you spend, and I'm going to sit down with you every year to provide an updated debt-free analysis and help you stay on track with your goal of becoming debt-free. Why would I want to sit down with people every year and meet with them? Mark, do you have any idea why I would want to meet with my past clients once a year?
Referrals.
Referrals. Do you have another good reason to call? I mean, really, can you call, hey, John and Susie, how you doing? Hey, I just want to come out and hang out with you for an hour. It probably doesn't happen, right? But if I said, hey, it's time for a review, let's see how we're coming along on this, time to meet. You think they'll sit down with me? And so here's my question at the end of it, Mark. Hey, Mark, do you know anybody else who wants to be debt-free? I don't care if they're buying a house, own a house. Know anybody else who'd like to be debt-free? Does everybody know somebody that wants to be debt-free?
Yep.
They don't necessarily know somebody's looking to buy or sell a house, do they? Because guess what? I can build my database doing this. And the database is everything, right? So the question is, guys, within the business frame that you have now, are you doing things like that? Do you have any unique reasoning to do it? What if we could teach you? So here's a question for you. If you had that type of mentorship and training, along with all the lead generation tools, Facebook strategies, listing tools, websites, Google domination, CRM, and follow-up systems, Mark, I'm going to pick on you again. Would you make more money?
Of course.
So the question is, do we really care? What's most important to you, Mark? Whatever split you pay your broker or how much cash you deposit in the bank? What's most important?
What I put in the bank.
Well, it is to me too. So at the end of the day, guys, we have this thing in the real estate business. Oh, I'm worried about whatever my split, whatever my cost to pay the broker. I don't want to pay them anything. It's like, guys, at the end of the day, who's going to put more money in your bank account? That's all that counts. If this stuff would help you make more money, you might want to consider leveraging your time and effort, right? So that's lead generation tools. That can't be provided elsewhere. Guys, you need to experience the power of leveraging the right tools and the right mentorship. So, number 3, unparalleled revenue share. This, to me, guys, is the winning lottery ticket in real estate. And I know we may go long, but you know what? This is way too important. I used to feel the pressure going, oh, I got to get this done in an hour. Well, guess what, guys? We're talking about changing your real estate business, and whatever time it takes, I'm going to take, because it's too important to hurry through it. Revenue share is the winning lottery ticket. It's leverage by doing the work one time and getting paid over and over again. So we modeled our business. eXp is modeled after Keller Williams. I mean, hell, if you're going to build a business, shouldn't you model the biggest? And they're the biggest. Except there's 5 main differences. Number 1, you have higher splits. You have no royalties. You have a lower cap. Mark, I think you told me, hang on, correct me if I'm wrong. Just put it in the chat box, Mark. I think you told me your cap is $56,000 in Southern California. If it isn't that, tell me what it is. You have lower caps. We share revenue, not profit. We're business people, guys. Would you rather have a piece of the profit or a piece of the revenue?
Revenue.
And then there's finally stock ownership. So it's built exactly the same way, except we have way better tools, which I didn't put in there too. 36,000, I'm sorry. So it's 36,000. So in Mark's case, our cap is 16,000. Mark gets a $20,000 pay raise right off the bat. He's on a 70-30 split. He'd go to an 80-20. He's got a 6% royalty. We have none. So he gets a 16% immediate pay raise and $20,000 a year with great tools and revenue share, not profits. Now, if this works for Mark, great. If this doesn't, that's okay too. It's not for everybody. If you're happy building as a regular real estate business, awesome. If you want to change your life, this is where it gets really good, right? The rest was good. This is awesome. So let's show you how that works. So let's go through the numbers. Everybody's on an 80-20 cap. There is no special deals. I've had people go, yeah, but you understand I'm a good producer. Guys, it doesn't matter what you produce. The business model is built this way. You're on an 80-20 split until you cap. Cap means of doing about 2.66 million in volume, or you pay $16,000 to eXp. There is no royalty. You pay a $25 broker fee per transaction, $30 E&O fee, and that stops at $500. That's about 17 transactions a year. Once you cap, you go to $250 per transaction. If you do another 20 after that, it's $75. There is a one-time startup fee of $99. It includes 1,000 cards, folders, some lead generation sites, WordPress site, eFax account, and a whole bunch more, your Regis, all that. And it also includes your first month technology fee. So it's the only fee we have on a monthly basis is $50 a month. And I can tell you it includes all the cost of Expressway and all that, but it's conversion or commissions inc. Guys, you can pay $600 or $1,000 a month for either of those two systems, or you can pay $50. It's up to you. And then one time a year, there's a $420 a year, they call it a university educational fee. It's taken out of your first transaction. It pays for the cloud, guys, is what it does. So our brick and mortar expense, or our expense, if you will, is paid for out of that university educational fee. You may go, well, what's that $16,000 paid for? Well, I'll get to that in a minute. So the only monthly fee you have is $50 a month for conversion. So just like I asked Mark, hey, Mark, would you rather pay $585 or would you rather leverage your relationship with eXp and pay $50 for it? But those are the fees, guys. That's it. It's very simple. No more than that. I've heard people are saying, well, you know, so-and-so at XYZ company said it's $1,000 to start or it's $500 to start. It's $99, guys, and that includes your first month technology fee. Those are the fees, right? So let's talk about revenue share, and let's talk about it versus profit. Any business owner knows I'd rather have a piece of the revenue instead of the profit. So Glenn Sanford built a model that works exactly like Keller Williams, except for the dollars are paid on revenue, not on profit. Do you know that only about 1/3 of all real estate offices are profitable? So gosh, what if you're in an office that isn't? So let's look at how that works. Of the $16,000 that somebody pays in when they cap, if Pat simply says to my wife, it says, Michelle, eXp is an awesome company. You should check them out. They invited you to a webinar like this, and they said, you know what? I see the power of this, and they join eXp. Of the $16,000, Pat will get paid 3.5% of her commission up to $2,800 a year. So that $16,000 that was paid into eXp, they're going to pay Pat $2,800 of it. Scott Lewis, who told Pat about eXp, is going to get paid $3,200, and whoever did that is going to get paid $2,000 of it. Whoop, that was too many clicks. So let me show you how that works in real people, okay? Because I don't want to make this confusing, but just understand this. Pat referred Michelle, and this is exactly how it works. Pat referred Michelle to eXp. She said, hey, this seems like a good idea. I joined eXp. Michelle told the same thing. She met Don at one of our conferences. Don said, this eXp thing looks pretty cool. Don joins eXp, and then Denise and Don were talking at one of our events, and Denise joined eXp under Don. Here's how this works, guys. Denise caps and pays $16,000 a year to eXp, so she does $2.66 million. Let me show you how that $16,000 gets distributed. So Don is paid $2,800 from Denise's cap. So Don got $2,800 in payments throughout the year on Denise's money. The company is paying that back to Don because Don helped grow the company. Now, Don caps, he also does $2.66 million. He also paid $16,000 to eXp. But remember, he did get $2,800 back. So realistically, paid $13,200, right? Now, Michelle is paid $3,200 from Denise's cap, but she also gets paid $2,800 from Don's. Michelle made $6,000 this year, but she capped. She paid $16,000. Pat got paid $2,000 from Denise's cap, $3,200 from Don's, and $2,800 from Michelle's. Pat made $8,000 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can we agree it's good to be Pat?
Oh, yeah.
Can we agree it's good to be Michelle?
Yep.
Can we agree it's good to be Don?
Oh, yeah.
And Denise has got to get there yet, but it'll be good to be Denise.
That's right.
That's how it works, guys. That's the simplest format that I can think of for this. Okay?
Oh,
And
Denise,
so is this required? Do you have to refer anybody to eXp? No. But guys, if you hear people moaning and groaning at a closing table or in the transaction that they're not making enough money or that they're dying on the vine, do you think that our lead generation, that my coaching and mentoring could help, that having the right tools would help? Wouldn't you want to reach out and help that person?
Yep.
And if you do, you're going to get paid for it. So just to give you an idea how good it is to be Pat, this is Pat's revenue share. This is what he's been paid since last February. $68 last February. This February got paid whatever that comes out to, about 70, just shade under $7,600.
Right.
Because Pat, in the course of his real estate business, talked to realtors and says, hey, you heard about eXp, it's an awesome company. And invited them to a webinar like this. Now in San Antonio, they do some luncheons on top of it. That's all you have to do, folks. Let us help you build that business. So we can agree it's good to be Pat, right? But if you're on this call, Mark, I'm going to come back to you. Mark, if you had $7,600 a month coming in, would that have a pretty good impact on your income?
Yes.
Now, here's the good news, guys. Pat had a Coldwell Banker agent from Florida they met on Facebook that brought 26 agents over with him. I don't know what it'll be for March, but I'm going to guess he's probably going to get a check for around $10,000.
That's my goal. My first 5-figure revenue share check in March.
And I believe that that's got to happen unless they, depending on when they moved over, right?
Right.
So in the normal course of your business, guys, you simply leveraged your time to share a story saying, guys, there's a better tool out here to make more money. And here's the good news, guys. At the end of the day, that's going to keep paying that over and over. So let's look at something that I would think would be a reasonable plan. We call it a 10 by 10 by 5, or at least I do. Over the course of the next 5 years, Mark, I'll pick on you again. Over the next 5 years, do you think you could bump into a couple agents a year that would see the value of something like this and go, you know what, I think I'll join that company?
Yes.
2 a year, that's it. So let's not get crazy. And then do you think by doing systems like this where we do a webinar every Tuesday where you could just become a professional inviter, invite them, that they could bump into 2 people a year too.
You would think so.
Because, yeah, it won't work exactly that way, let's be honest. You'll get some who'll never recruit anybody, and you'll get others who'll recruit 10 a year. It's just how it works. But just for ease of math, just so you know, that'd be $348,000 a year if they all capped. And again, will they all cap? No. But even if it was half of that, what would that do for you, Mark?
It would do a lot.
It would do a big thing, wouldn't it?
Sure.
And so at the end of the day, do you have that available at any other company?
Not that I know of.
No, I can tell you there's not. And so that's what we have to offer in terms of revenue share, guys, right? You see the power of leveraging your time and effort now, Mark? You're out doing the course of everyday real estate business now, right? You're at some renewal hour class. You're at a realtor function. You just go, hey, guys, you happy with how much money you're making? You should check this out. And I have some recruiting systems that are in place. You can just drive people to a webinar to watch, and it can be recorded, and it'll do the work for you. Would it be okay if I helped you recruit some of those people, Mark, and you didn't have to do much effort?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Here's the deal. I actually want you out selling real estate. Do you know why?
Well, I can't produce unless I'm out there selling real estate.
And 2 reasons. An override of 0 is 0. And number 2, the more successful I can make you, the more people will follow you to eXp. Just that simple. So leveraging time, tools, real estate systems, because that's really what eXp is a real estate system. You see the power of leverage now?
Sure.
But hang on, it's going to get even better now. Because I told you guys from California, you want to see this. So let's do a stock. eXp is the only publicly traded agent-owned stock. So here's how it works, guys. There's 6 ways to get stock. First transaction of the year, you get 100 shares. You get 5% discount. You get a 5% discount. You can buy shares. You can take 5% of your commission, and you can buy stock at a 20% discount. And I'm saying that because I realized where I made a mistake on something here. But so what happens is, let's say you get a $10,000 commission. You can take 5% of that commission and use it to buy the stock at a 20% discount. When you cap, you get 500 shares, and when you refer an agent, you get 375 shares. You can buy it. So like this week, I'm going to go out and buy it. I'm going to buy another couple $1,000 worth. When you cap at 2.66 million, if you do 20 more houses after that, we refer to it as an icon agent. You pay $250 a transaction at that point, right? But you're going to get your $16,000 cap back in stock. So if you're a high producing agent, you're going to get a lot of stock. Now, I actually am going to, so should you own a piece of the stock or a piece of your company? Well, let me do this scenario, although I can tell you I made a mistake in this. So I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to redo the numbers. I won't do it now. But at the end of the day, guys, what does owning that stock mean to you? Well, let's just take a look at that. See you, Don. So if you do 20 closings a year, I had somebody say to me, I've got a broker in Utah that said, if eXp comes to Utah, you can't compete with us. I just laughed and said, well, what does eXp ownership do for you? And I made a mistake in these numbers, but I promise they're still really good. Well, I said if you get $100 a share at every closing, you don't. You get 100 shares your first year, and then when you cap, you get 500. So you get 600 shares a year free, right? And I just called it 350. It's actually a 389 when I looked this morning, but 350 works, right? Then you take 5% of your commissions. If your average sale price is $200,000, you get 85.7 shares at a closing. You closed 20 deals. You picked up 1,714 shares, but you bought them at $2.80, which means you made an immediate $1,200 profit. So year one, you get $7,000 in stock plus $1,750, plus you purchased $6,000 in value at 20%, and of that $6,000, $1,200 of it's already profit. So you got about $15,000 in stock, and you paid a cap of $16,000. If you take that down and extrapolate it through 5 years, if you accumulated 21,070 shares, 59% of it was handed to you. I do have to redo that money. But here's the good news, guys. If that stock moves $1, you make $21,000. Pat, how many shares of stock do you have now? Do you know?
About 17,000, almost 18,000.
So here's the deal, guys. Every time it moves $1, Pat makes 17,000 bucks. Every time the stock moves a buck, he makes $17,000. Now, he bought some of this stuff. He got it at like 70, 80 cents a share. What would happen if it went to 20?
I hope
My
so.
goodness.
Wait.
Now, we don't know. Let me give you full disclosure. I don't know what's going to happen to the stock. Neither do you. But here's what I do know. We're the fastest growing real estate company in history. We're completely debt free. We have cash in the bank, and we don't have huge overhead expense. We have 55 employees employed throughout the world because guess what? They're on the cloud. Tell me another real estate company that operates on that kind of expense. And the answer is there isn't any. So is it likely that it's going to do well? Should, but I don't know it for sure. But guys, it gets even better if you're in California or, let's say Seattle or New York or Chicago, where your average purchase price, let's say, is $500,000. Why? Well, 5% of your commission in this scenario would buy 214 shares at a 20% discount. You did the same 20 closings, you accumulated $4,285 or 4,285 shares. You got an immediate $3,000, $2,995 profit because you bought it at a 20% discount. Because you got bigger commission, so 5% of a bigger commission buys more stock. So if you extrapolate all that down at the end of year 5, you got $118,000 worth of stock, and for every dollar it moves, you make $33,925.
That's huge.
That's really big, isn't it? Mark, do you have any opportunity to earn that money where you're at right now or where you're thinking of going, which is a 100% company at whatever, $250 a month? Do you have any opportunity to cash in on something like this?
No.
Now, can I guarantee that the price is going to do that? I cannot. Right? None of us know what's going to happen. But like I said, I'm a business guy. If I could invest in a business that's pretty new, growing 3 times faster than the largest real estate company in history, has no debt, money in the bank, owned by their agents. Mark, if you own a piece of the company, do you have a different outlook on how you may help it grow versus somebody who doesn't?
Yes.
I mean, in a traditional real estate format, you're helping the broker make a lot of money. You're helping the company build a brand, and you profit from it how? You don't. So 2 questions to consider. Will it work this way? Of course not. Will you do 20 deals? Have no idea. Is your average purchase price $500,000? Have no idea. Will the stock go up? I don't know. So I can't predict. But what I can say, will it work for you?
Sure.
Well, not really. It only works if you show up. See, back in 2004, Mark Zuckerberg invited 5 people to his Harvard dorm room to discuss a business opportunity. Want to guess what that business opportunity was, Mark?
Facebook.
Little thing called Facebook. Only 2 showed up. They got in. Dustin Makovitz is worth $6.5 billion. Eduardo Severin is worth $3.4 billion. The other 3, what do you think they're worth, Mark?
I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. I know it's not 6.5 or 3.4 billion. I know that. Nothing is more expensive than a closed mind, so I love that. Because here's the thing, guys. If you don't show up to the dorm room, you're really at the point where we're in the dorm room with Zuckerberg, or you're in the garage working with Michael Dell. We're only a 7-year-old company. We're growing 3 times faster than Keller Williams. We've got 2,800 some odd agents now, right? So we're not a behemoth. But do you understand now, Mark, why people with big teams are moving over to this company?
Yes.
But if you don't show up, you don't join, you can't benefit. You know, I don't know who this guy was. I've not met him. And he just goes, hey, Stephen and Sally recruited me 30 years ago to RE/MAX. And yes, we built the RE/MAX brand. I don't have any stock, no residual income, no ownership, but I do now. When I had lunch with Gene Fredericks a couple weeks ago, what he said to me is, hey, the one thing that really caught my attention, he owned 6 Keller Williams offices and I believe 4 regions, or the other way around, one of the 2. And he went to a meeting with Glenn Sanford and came back and told his wife, honey, what we do is we own 10 Blockbuster videos right now. She goes, what are you talking about? She goes, I met this guy and he completely changed the paradigm for real estate agents and companies. It's no longer a franchise down model where you're building the brand and you're building the brokers so that they make all the money. He figured out how to pay it to the agents. Sold his region, sold his office, joined eXp. And when I talked to him, he said, the real thing that attracted me is I never had the opportunity to get in at Microsoft. I never had the opportunity to get in at Dell, but I do have the opportunity here. Do I know for a fact it'll work out that way? I don't. But here's the deal. If I'm not in the game, I can't win. So, you see the power of leverage with ownership?
Yes.
And it's just not available anywhere else, guys. So here's the critical question. Do you currently have all this leverage in your business, in your tools, in your training, in your mentorship, in your coaching, in your real estate system, in your time, in your money? Do you have any kind of leverage on ownership? The answer for everybody is no, you don't. So the only real question is, what do you do next? So here's what I would tell you. Well, you got a couple options. You don't have to do anything. You can go, hey, you know what, I'm pretty happy. I think it's cool. You know, I come up with all kinds of reasons. Well, it's a new company. Well, it's this, it's that, it's this. You can come up with all that. That's awesome. Some will, some won't. The question is, 5 years from now, will you look back and go, oh my God, I had the opportunity to be in the dorm room with Zuckerberg? There's nothing worse than living a life of regret. So what's next? Well, guys, you've been invited to the dorm room. The question is now, will you show up? What do you do? So here's what I'd encourage you to do. If you can go back 20 years and invest in those companies, you do it, right? So I don't want you to live a life of regret. So you can go to these different websites. I would encourage you, whoever invited you to this call, we've got some other people on this call that I'm not familiar with the names, so somebody invited you, please get back with them. If you want to schedule a call with me or with Pat, we can do that in the cloud. We can do it on the phone to answer your questions. But get back with them, and then let's talk about, does this real estate company make sense for you to help you achieve the business that you want? And let's start focusing on how much money we put in the bank instead of all the crazy things that we focus on. And so the way that you do that is get that information there. You can go there. There's also, if you want, I don't show it on this and I don't do it for a reason. If you Google eXp revenue share calculator and you say, hey, what would this do for me if I did these things? Go in there and play around and see what kind of retirement income you could build yourself. You put in your own numbers and then you can be comfortable. So with that, anybody have questions? Pat, did I miss anything?
No, you did great, as always.
Hour and 23 minutes. I get that took a little bit of time, guys, but isn't your career and how much money you make and the training that you get and the tools that you have, isn't it worth spending a little bit more time?
Absolutely.
And so if it took an hour and 23 minutes, awesome, because to me, this is too important to hurry through.
Right.
So if you want to schedule a call, get with whoever invited you. We'll get on the phone. We'll meet you in the cloud if you want to do a walkthrough. We want people to make a good decision. But, guys, it has to be a good decision for you and it has to be a good decision for us because we really want to help people who want to take their business to the next level. So because, well, I don't know, I can give it a try or things like that. Honestly, I don't want to work with that. I want people who think big, that I can help make an impact on your life because guess what, guys? If I can do that, you're going to easily attract other people to you. Oh my God, Pat, what did you do that you're just, that you're able to take this kind of time off or that you're doing that number of deals or that you have that much money in the bank? Man, I made the greatest decision ever. I joined a company.
Yep, 14 months ago.
My life. And so that's what our hope is for you. So for those that see that, awesome. If not, we'll still wish you the best of luck. We'll still be friends. We'll still sell deals, cross deals, etc. So any questions I can answer for you guys? We actually have several people on there that have never heard this before. Any questions that I can answer for you? Nope, doesn't look like it. So I'm going to have this recorded. It will be on some websites where you'll be able to access again because I know I went through a lot of information, but we're going to have it recorded, so not to worry. Hopefully Paul's in the background recording. So guys, thanks so much for being here. If you have questions, reach out. Let's change your life. Let's change the others around you, and let's take and build a real estate business that we'd all want and that we'd be proud of and that gives us some peace of mind.
Yep.
So we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day and reach out and let us know if you need any help. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Bob.
Take care.